Yes.
All right. Hey, guys. Good morning. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch here with you. Usually on Tuesdays in English, but yesterday I was at Round Top where I got this amazing new couch. Can you see how amazing this couch is? Look at this. Orange velour with tigers and flamingos. I just had to have it. Anyway, I was in Round Top and I tried to get online, but I was on, rural country Wi-Fi and it was not cooperating. So I said, well, hopefully everyone will forgive me and we can hang out on Wednesday, which is why we're here together today in English. As a reminder, I'm Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, immigration lawyer based in Austin, Texas, here with you every week on Tuesdays in English, Thursdays in Spanish, where we review the immigration news of the week. I help you interpret and understand what's going on. I answer your live questions, and then I give you an action tip of the week to help feel like you're doing something, that you are making a difference in this world and doing things beyond just all the basics, which we know: registering to vote, voting, calling your legislators, participating in protests. We have the No Kings on Saturday in Austin. It's going to be a big one. There's going to be a march from the Capitol down to Auditorium Shores. Is it starting at the Capitol or City Hall? That part I can't remember. Down to Auditorium Shores, and there's a ton of organizations that are going to be down at Auditorium Shores. It's almost going to be like a fair, a civic participation fair. And shout out to the organizers of that. That there is so much work that goes into organizing these marches and protests and rallies, and most of us just put on a T-shirt and make a sign and show up and feel really good, and have a lot of solidarity. But there is a small group of people who work their butts off getting those things organized. So shout out to y'all. As a reminder, I'm also running for House District 50 in Northeast Austin. It's the seat currently occupied by James Tallarico, who is running for U.S. Senate. Gina Hinojosa announced her run for governor yesterday. That's super exciting. We got a lot of cool movement happening in Texas politics. All of this, of course, is going to come to fruition next November of 2026, but we got a lot happening in the primaries. I'm running as a Democrat for House District 50, Northeast Austin. I still need volunteers, always need donations. If you want to learn more about that, go to klg4texas.com. But I'm here with you today in my capacity as an immigration lawyer to talk about the news and to remind you that at my immigration law firm, we are virtual. We represent people all over the country, all over the 50 United States. We are not restricted by geographic boundaries. So if you know someone who is in need of immigration help, feel free to send them our way. We are still doing free consultations for people who are in need. So give us a call and let's get to the news of the week. So far, we have seen about 5 or 6 visas revoked because of online speech related to the Charlie Kirk murder. There were a few immigrants on visas from all over the country, all over the globe, actually. There was one from Paraguay, one from Mexico. I can't remember the other countries. And most of them said things like, calling him racist or misogynist, or sort of and judging the way that he spoke during his life. And those visas of those individuals were revoked. Obviously, the Department of State and the Department of Homeland Security have very strong, massive powers over who can come and visit this country. When you're here as a visitor, you have much fewer rights, and they can and are silencing free speech and just revoking people's visas. We saw that with student visas earlier this year. We're now seeing that with visas specifically related to the Charlie Kirk murder. So that's happening. So far, only a handful, and this is straight from the Department of State's own website. They're announcing that this is what they're doing. Another update for y'all is that ICE arrests are continuing. There has not been a slowdown on immigration enforcement due to the government shutdown. We're now in week 3 of the government shutdown. Many federal agencies are impacted. People are getting furloughed and laid off. In the immigration space, it's different. Most of the agencies continue to function, actually. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service is funded by the fees that the applicants pay. So when you file for a green card or a work permit renewal or citizenship and you pay that filing fee, that's what funds the agency primarily. So there are some slowdowns, but the agency continues to function during a shutdown. For Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, Customs and Border Protection, CBP, all of ICE, did I say that? All of those agencies continue to function because they are law enforcement agencies. We've seen no shift, no change in the way that they are functioning. Employment cases will change. So the Department of Labor does have a shutdown, and so the people who are waiting for, labor certifications and things like that are on hold, which does impact industry, of course. Also, on labor shortage issues, the Trump's own Department of Labor published a notice in the Federal Register, so federal rulemaking, saying that they are anticipating shock-induced food shortages. Let me say that again. Shock-induced food shortages in the United States. What is the shock, you might ask? Immigration enforcement. The shutdown of immigration along the border and the mass deportation of people who work in agriculture has resulted in shock-induced food shortages. This is straight out of Trump's own Department of Labor in a Federal Register document. So obviously that's not a big surprise to anybody. We've been shouting this from the rooftops. This is what will happen if you go after immigrants in this country. Number one, food supply will suffer. Number two, all of the obvious industries will start to suffer. Landscaping, construction, hospitality, agriculture, right? All that goes first. Then we're going to see healthcare, home health aides, nursing homes, nurses, hospitals, regular old doctors' offices, all of that medical field will start to really suffer. And then we ultimately, especially with the tack on the $100,000 fee on H-1B visas, we will start to see this in the innovative and the tech and sort of more professional services space. So entrepreneurship, STEM, all sorts of innovation, technology, all of that is also going to start to suffer. So it's sort of like the dominoes will fall, starting with shock-induced food shortages. So it's happening. Everything that we've been talking about is happening. It's bad. We must respond and react. When they say we are underreacting, it's true. We are underreacting. So, go to No Kings this weekend, do something bold this weekend to stand up to what's happening. Okay. Also, this is a good news. I like when I can give you guys good news. And I've got two more news items, and then I'll start to get to your questions. The Supreme Court has refused to hear a challenge. This is good. To the policy that allows spouses of H-1B visa holders to get a work permit. Their derivative status is called H-4. And under certain circumstances, H-4 derivative visas of H-1B visa holders can also get work permission. This is really common. Let's say you have an engineer from India who's on an H-1B, but their spouse is also highly qualified and skilled. Well, they can get an employment authorization document, a work permit, to work while their spouse is going through the perm process. So this is a great way to boost labor in this country. The Trump administration was targeting it and wanted it to Supreme Court to review this policy, and the Supreme Court denied review. So that's good news. Next thing, we've got our very own Austin, Texas, out in the news. There was an article in which the chief of police for Austin Police Department was interviewed, and she said, no, actually, we're not notified when ICE is conducting a raid in Austin. In fact, the way that we find out that a raid is happening is through the community phone calls where people start to call in and they say, there's a kidnapping happening. And then APD is like, what's going on? And they realize it was an ICE raid. So not surprising. There's no thoughtful law enforcement coordination going on with ICE raids in Austin. And I mean, I think that's going to vary by jurisdiction, but probably pretty rare that they that the feds are actually really coordinating with local law enforcement, which is dangerous for public safety, right? And just imagine police, ICE, plain-clothed, masked ICE agents in a clash because the two agencies haven't talked to each other. It doesn't take too much imagination to think about what could go wrong with that. So, and how public safety overall is damaged. Shayla, I see your question. Is it immigration enforcement or immigration terrorism? How do we describe it? I mean, I'm not going to disagree with your terminology whatsoever. I think this is why we say we're underreacting. This stuff that we're seeing on our social media feeds is real. These agents who are just literally like pointing their guns in people's faces, shooting off tear gas into people's faces, tackling people, using these like draconian harness methods. I mean, the tactics that they are using against immigrants who, as a reminder, have only committed a civil infraction. The tactics that they're using is so gross, so upsetting, so terrifying. And it's not a small number of people that are reminding ICE agents that there will be a reckoning for what's happening. And an ICE agent just saying like, oh, I'm just following orders or doing my job, or this is what Washington is telling me to do. That didn't work for the Nazis after World War II. That was not a protection for people. And it doesn't take, too much of a stretch of the imagination to see the parallels between then and now. So I really think that ICE agents and other federal law enforcement agents need to be thoughtful about what the actions that you're taking and what could happen when the administration changes and the people in power change. Something to think about. Okay, I texted you about my case. I don't speak English. My case is UBISA. No sé si habla español. No vi su mensaje, Felipe, en mis mensajes directos. No fue un mensaje por text, pero yo puedo aceptar mensajes directos en mis redes, o puede mandar un mensaje al despacho también, Lincoln Goldfinch Law. Okay, I want to ask about petitioning a spouse from another country. How does that usually work? That can be a little bit complicated if you have, you're in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen, you fall in love and marry somebody abroad. Well, the marriage has to be legal. So you can't do like a proxy marriage. You have to go and get married. If that person doesn't have a visa to come here, you file a petition for them. It's an I-130 petition. You wait for that to get approved, and then you do a consular process to bring them in. And depending upon where they're from, that whole thing can take 1.5 to 3 years to bring them here. You can go live with them abroad while you're waiting, or you can just bring them here as soon as that process is done. That is something that we do in my firm. So if you want to talk about your own case, let me know and we can do a consultation. Alin in Instagram, no changes to the T visa at this point. Right now, the focus seems to be professional visas. H-1B visas is what the Trump administration is after, which is really bad. It's really bad for our economy and our nation, this $100,000 fee, but they're trying to get the Supreme Court to review the H-4s. They're doing the $100,000 fee on the H-1Bs. I saw another, I can't remember if it was where I saw it, but some official from the Trump administration was also saying they're going to start to go after lawyers who file H-1B visas and accusing lawyers of filing fraudulent cases. That's a line that they use often. So there's definitely a focus right now on the H-1B side of things, which is the main professional visa. So far, there has not been a lot of conversation around T visas. I mean, T visas are passed by Congress, very clear and prescribed procedure, qualifications, all of that is passed by Congress. And so in order for the Trump administration to change that, they would need something to go through Congress. So that's probably why we don't hear a lot about that. But we're still getting T visa approvals in our office. Those are very satisfying. All right. My brother-in-law was detained by Louisville police because he didn't have a Class C driver's license while operating a cement truck. After he stopped driving, he was in the passenger seat when the officer detained him and called ICE, assuming he didn't have a green card. He's now been transferred to the Anson ICE Detention Center. He entered the U.S. in 2009 with a visa and has 3 children. Can he be released on bond? Yes, to me, this sounds like the fact pattern of someone who is bond eligible. He entered with the visa. The criminal history is, I'm sure it's a very minor misdemeanor, driving without the proper licensure. So this is somebody to me who looks like we could do a bond for. So let's do a consultation, and we can look at how quickly we could get him out. I'm sorry that happened. Nothing new on DACA, by the way. The commercial driver's license element of that question reminded me. Still waiting for final decision on DACA. I'll keep you guys posted, of course, about that. My affirmative asylum was denied by USCIS, but I was not sent to court because I have TPS. What should I do? That's an interesting question. Well, if you already have TPS, you're protected. You don't need to do anything. You file for asylum within a year of your entry. I'm curious what country you're from and whether your TPS is being revoked by the Trump administration. Because if so, they might file a removal case against you once the TPS is revoked, and then you would be seeking asylum in removal proceedings. I'm a Venezuelan attorney with an LLM in the United States, and I have 7 years of experience as a paralegal/law clerk. I plan to take the bar exam in July of 2026 if I'm still here. I would like to file my EB-2 National Interest Waiver application. It is already well underway, and I'm collecting recommendation letters. Could I schedule a consultation regarding this? I would actually refer you to another lawyer for this. Reach out to me, and I have a law firm I can send you to that I trust. Right now, we're focusing on families, immigrant families, keeping families together, doing removal and detained cases, and that's taking up all of our bandwidth. We're not doing a lot of employment cases, but I have lawyers that I know and trust that I can send you to. I would like to migrate to the United States, but I don't know how. I'm finishing my university degree. My degree is internationally recognized, and I also have a Social Security number. Let's talk about how you got that Social Security number. If you got that number, you might have been a derivative or a beneficiary on a family petition many years ago that might be ready to go. Who knows? So let's have a consultation. If not, in order to come here through employment, you would have to find an employer who wants to hire you and then wants to invest in petitioning for you, which can be kind of hard because they're usually looking for workers who can come right now that they already know. So most of the time, it's hard outside the country to get an employer to hire you. My son applied for asylum a few years ago, and his girlfriend only has TPS. Do you think if they get married now, she could be added to my son's asylum application after November 7th? Yes. Yes, she can be added once they get married as a derivative on his asylum application. I would say we should consult because I want to know the strength of his asylum application. If it's a great case, all for it. Let's do it. If it's a wobbly case, then you probably don't want to add her to it because it just places her at risk. Can my status be adjusted after I am granted asylum? Yes. 1 year after you have an asylum grant, you can become a permanent resident. All right. Okay. I've got a meeting, so I'm going to be wrapping up soon. I'm going to read 2 more questions, and then we're going to wrap. But I will see you tomorrow in Spanish because today is Wednesday, and I'm going to see you on Thursday. I am a DACA recipient, and I would like advice on my situation. I'm planning to move to another country with my daughter. I am Mexican. Okay, yes, we can discuss. If you have DACA and you leave the country, you will lose your status and eligibility for DACA. So just know that when you move, there's not going to be a way to come back legally through DACA. Okay, last question is in Spanish. Angélica, metieron mi paquete de visa U en marzo. Aún no llegan los recibos de mis hijos, solo los míos y mi esposo. Yo tuve la cita de huellas. Es normal, a los hijos míos aún no les llegan los recibos. Tengo caso con ustedes. Angélica, debemos hablar directamente sobre su caso. Es posible que porque los niños son menores que no necesitan huellas, pero debemos averiguar que todo salió bien. Me imagino que todo va bien, pero si puede llamar al despacho para hablar con su equipo, sería lo mejor hablar directamente con ellos. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Thanks for being here with me. Your action tip of the week is to check out what's going on in your area for No Kings, which is this Saturday, and download the safety packet from abogadakate.com. It's the safety planning packet. There's some Know Your Rights materials. Do a little bit of research and study about how to be a good protester, safe protester, all of that. And maybe I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks for being with me, but I will see you tomorrow in Spanish. Adios.